Hello, New Orleans. You're listening to the Sports Coma, your new number one podcast on everything Saints, Pelicans, and a lot more. And now, here's your host, Big Q and the guys.
What's up, sports world? Welcome tonight. You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys. Intense and entertaining sport talk on the Saints, the Pels, and a heck of a lot more. Tonight we're going to be talking mostly the New Orleans Saints lost, very tight, lost to the Oakland Raiders at the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. The Saints go down in the 35-34 loss to the Oakland Raiders in a very entertaining game in which the Saints had Oakland in place for much of the game. The first three quarters, they led the game 24-13 before allowing Oakland to score 22 points in the fourth quarter to ultimately lead to a 35-34 win in Oakland. Big win for Oakland. Got to take my hat off to Oakland. Oakland played excellent game, man. I must say they played very well. Very entertaining game. Tonight we got one of our guys in the studio. Not in the studio. On the phone, on the line. Black Suede, how you doing today, brother? How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Q, what's going on, man? This ruined my whole week. My whole week is ruined. It ruined, as my grandmother would say. It ruined.
Well, yeah, you know what, Suede, man, I got to, agree with you in part, my brother. Watching the game, it was very entertaining. It came down to a last-minute field goal from 61 yards by Will Lutz. The young rookie kicker, he just couldn't get it done. Looked like it was going in at the last minute. It just curved slightly to the left, and ultimately led to the Saints' first loss of the year at the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. But before we jump into that, let's talk about our sponsor, the Posh Report. Posh Lifestyle. Sellers of the water filters. They got really good deals on water filters. Healing magnetics, crystals, clothing, jewelry, DVDs, and a little bit of everything and a lot more at their website, www.poshlifestyle.com. That's poshlifestyle.com, and life is spelled Lyfe. Like I said, they got great deals on water filters. You need to clean up that water. Please purify that water for cleaning purposes for you and your family. Healing crystals, magnetics, all of that. They got it available and at great prices. And you can also get free shipping with orders over $100 on the majority of the items. So upgrade your lifestyle.
They're talking about that bottled water. It got all kind of acid up in there. The tap water bad, and the best thing to do is to filter your own water.
Yes.
And so you know what's going on with it.
You're absolutely right, my friend. You're absolutely right. I got a water filter. I love it. It works very well for me. And I tell you what, people, you have to take control of that. Take that into your own hands and don't trust anybody with that. And like I said, they got great deals with those water purifiers at the poshlifestyle.com. So upgrade your lifestyle with the Posh Lifestyle and love what you do. Also, if you're fans of our show, please feel free to share our show with friends and family members. Feel free to post our shows on sport sites that you might go frequent, or certain comment sections. You can feel free to post our links there. Share our show. And if you want to take it a step further, we also accept donations as well. And that money will go to improving our platform, helping us to get larger and better, and do a lot of great things. So if you want to donate, you can go to www.poshlifestyle.com. Right when you log into the website, there's a donation banner. Click into it, and then you can donate anything from $1 to whatever's in your heart to give. So please feel free to donate to our cause at theposhlifestyle.com. Now that that's taken care of, Suede, talking about the Saints and the Raiders tonight.
Yeah.
35-34 loss. I mean, Drew Brees, man. I mean, he put on a clinic, basically. 28 of 42, 423 yards, Every time Drew threw the ball, it was a first down. He averaged 10.1 on the average of his completions, averaging 10 yards a throw, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He was sacked one time. He held the ball too long for -4, but that was irrelevant with his play. 78.6 QB rating. I have to say, man, he played spectacular. I mean, you can ask.
He played like he deserved the money, didn't he?
Right, yes, he did. And I must say, man, he was outstanding. He did everything that you can ask for a quarterback to do. But for whatever reason, and mostly a lot of the fans pinting on the defense and the special teams, we just didn't come out with that win when we had that win in hand. What's your take on that, Sway? What's your take on that? What ultimately led to the demise of the Saints in this game against Oakland?
I'm going to take it back to what you said about the fumble in the first quarter, beginning of the game, right? With Drew Brees, you can say that didn't matter, but if you look at it, they got 3 points out of that turnover. So that's 3 points taken away from Pittsburgh, which would have lead us to win the game. Now, I'm not saying that's the total reason. What I can see is we put the points on the board, and we scored over the amount of points that you need to win an NFL game. So at one point we had this team at the 24-10. You have to look at it. It was the big play that we allowed on defense, and it was the missed field goals on special teams, and that's pretty much it. And it was allowing 22 points in the fourth quarter, which was to finish him. That was it. And so, I mean, what this team pretty much, man, it showed me more than I expected. And, we can always get better from it, from what we saw. But, I mean, from what I expected, they showed me far more. So we can work with something.
We're looking at the wide receiver core for what the Saints brought in. Willie Snead led all effort, 9 catches for 172 yards, averaged 19.1 yards a catch, 1 touchdown. He was targeted 9 times, caught all 9 balls. Brandon Cooks was behind him, targeted 9 times. He caught 6 out of 9, 143 yards, 2 touchdowns with a 23.8, might as well say 24-yard average with that 98-yard grab that ran for a touchdown. That bomb was the longest that the Saints had in their history. Even Mike Thomas, the rookie, got involved, targeted 6 times, caught 6 balls, 58 yards, and that great fumble recovery that ultimately led to a score for the Saints. Heads-up play by him as well. So, like I said, the offense, I wasn't too particularly – and you know what? I wasn't really too much worried about Drew. I knew when they get out there for an extended period of time, they'll figure it out. They'll come together. And boy, did they come together and play like the big Chiefs that we knew that they could be. The way I figured it out is one of the major repulsive moments of the game was the issue. I didn't like the call, the call that happened, the pass interference call that extended life to Oakland. Craig Robinson did not touch the receiver. The ball was uncatchable.
And they called the
pass interference.
Face shielding call.
Right.
When the guy was clearly going to go out of bounds anyway.
Yeah. The ball was totally uncatchable.
Awful. It was an awful pass.
Right.
And to give somebody a call like that at the end of the game, it was ridiculous, man. I didn't like it. But like I told you before, I can't say that's an excuse. I can't use it as an excuse because we shouldn't even come to that.
Right.
We had them 24-10.
Yes.
Game should be over. If anytime my quarterback scores throws 4 touchdowns at 10.1 yards a throw, and we should be winning.
Right, we should be winning. All signs point to that. Like we mentioned, the penalties, 14 penalties for 141 yards against the Oakland Raiders, plus 400-something odd yards in offense from the Saints should equal, and 28 points from 4 touchdowns from Drew Brees should equate to a win for New Orleans, but it ended up being a 1-point loss. Let's get a little bit of Sean Payton at the post-game presser to get his thoughts on what happened.
He's probably crying.
Look, obviously, disappointing game. there was that period of the fourth quarter where that momentum kind of swang a little bit. They had a quick score. We had settled for a field goal, and we were able to respond with a score. But in the end, we weren't able to play well enough to finish the game. I thought our guys fought hard, and credit Oakland. They came up with some big plays down the stretch. Of course, a 2-point play, for the win. So, the one thing I mentioned to them is we're in a race with everyone else in week 1 to week 2 to really get on this tape and make the corrections we need to correct before we get ready to the next game. And I think that, I think we'll do that. But nonetheless, it's disappointing. Any questions? Well, honestly, it's hard from my angle, but after I see it on the big screen, listen, I'm not going to start the season.
We're listening already.
We got to play better, though. It really didn't. It's one play. It's fourth down call. We got to be able to get off the field. To me, I didn't agree with it, and yet, it was a crew that called a pretty tight game for the most part, but I didn't have a good angle.
Angle? You don't need an angle.
There's a lot of.
You need a kicker
to it, but again, we've got to be able to overcome some of those. Well, it's an away game. It's a high-scoring game. It was not unexpected. I kind of thought that was the direction they would go, considering how they had moved the ball. Really, if you were looking closely at that fourth quarter, we were having trouble stopping anything, and I felt like on the road in a game like this, I probably would have done the exact same thing.
What's your reaction to
Listen, he obviously will take a peek at the film. There was one that gets blocked, it still goes in. I like this guy a lot. He's going to be kicking long after I'm coaching here. He's really talented. There's going to be, I'm sure, some lumps, no different than the rest of the rookies that played tonight.
Okay, we're going to probably play a little bit more of Coach Payton's presser.
Wow, that was a
little
big
later on. But what's your thoughts on that, Sweet?
Should we take heed to that comment? He's going to be kicking here while I'm gone.
Well after I'm gone, right. Well,
after I'm gone.
Well, he signed that contract extension. I think he's tired of doing the kicker thing. He was really impressed with Will Lutz. He has a strong leg. I mean, he is a rookie. We got to remember that. And he's taking the advice of the Baltimore Ravens organization, where John Harbaugh referred this kid to him like Bill Parcells referred Tommy Lee Lewis to him. And he knew he wasn't going to beat out the kicker that Baltimore has. I think that's Tucker up there. He wasn't going to beat him out, but it was an audition. And Sean Payton brought the kid in.
Okay.
The kid kicked well for him. He played real well for him.
My opponent say, hey, you know what, try this kicker. And they'll be like, yeah, okay, I'm going to try him. If he that good, why you ain't take him?
Because Justin Tucker, the guy that they got up there, is pretty set. He's an awesome kicker. And Baltimore's known for grooming. That's something that they do really well, is with the kickers. I don't know if people realize it or not, but the kicker that Seattle has, the kicker that Seattle has, Steve Hushka, the big kicker. He went through Baltimore. The kicker that the Graham Gano, the guy that Carolina got, who's a solid kicker, despite the kick he missed Thursday night, is a solid kicker. All those kickers came through Baltimore's training program they have up there, and they make really good kickers. He was a highly recommended guy. It's his first game. They took that rookie and put him in a boiler, a pressure cooker, and basically put the game down to him with a 61-yard field goal. Now let's make mention of this, and I'll make my point after the station identification break. So just I'll make my point in just a second. Just hold tight, Tess Wade.
Yeah.
You're listening to the PRO Media Network. The next level in entertainment.
Yeah. heard me.
Now, the thing that I like about when we're talking about the Saints, we talk about there's a lot of things to make mention of, and that happened in that fourth quarter that ultimately led to their demise. We could talk about how poorish the special teams played and helping them with the kick return yards. We could talk about the defense couldn't stop the run or the pass, despite the Devin Bros situation where they were very limited. They only had 4 cornerbacks active: Bro, Crawley, Devontae Harris, and the other fella, I forgot the other guy's name. I think they just had 3 or 4 of them active. Matter of fact, I don't know if they had that many active, because the guy they got from Baltimore, Sterling Moore, I don't think he was active that game. So they might have been just playing with 3 cornerbacks. But, when Bro went down, you basically had rookies in there running around there, and that's a tough position. P.J. Williams didn't play last year.
It showed it was very tough.
Right. P.J. Williams didn't play last year. He's basically a rookie. And you know about Crawley and Devontae Harris. But another thing I want to make mention that a lot of people are not talking about, and that's the misuse of the timeouts in the fourth quarter. Burning those timeouts when they needed them the most to get in a position to give Will Lutz at least 10 more yards, where he could have definitely planted a 51-yarder to ultimately lead them to a win. The misuse and abuse of the timeouts in the fourth quarter is ridiculous. They had nothing. They had no timeouts left to stop the ball. They had to basically run up to the line and spike the ball, and they ate up a lot of time on that last drive. Had they have had timeouts to operate with, it would have been a better situation. What ultimately would have led to them getting a better look at the field goal, and basically I think Lutz would have probably nailed it from 51, being that he just missed it from 61. So that's a part of my take. What you think about that too, Sway?
I absolutely agree. There was a misuse of the timeouts. And I do want to give a shout out to Lutz, man. I know he was under pressure. This is his first time on the field. He had to kick a 61-yarder. And I'll tell you what, the thing had some distance on it. He had like an extra 5 yards on that kick, and he almost made it. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna ease off the pedal on him just this one time. Just this one time now. I'm just letting you know. I'm gonna tell you like your parents would say. Now next time, I'm gonna whip your ass. Let me tell you something.
All right. Well,
Let me tell you something. Next game. Hopefully it won't come to it. I think he'll have it on point because like I said, I don't understand sometimes Peyton's the way he thinks, but to try these 2 kickers for all the preseason and training camp and then just wipe both of them off the board and say we're going with him, he has to have something with him. But along with that, I want to mention as far as this fourth quarter collapse, it was this run from Jalen Richard. Jalen Richard from the Raiders broke a big run. It was a 75-yard run, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And he ended the game with 3 carries and 84 yards. Well, that's some kind of way, in my own mind and in the fantasy world of the Saints, let's take that 75-yard run away. It leaves it with 9. He has 9 yards, 3 carries for 9 yards, and the next highest runner is Latavius Murray with 14 carries for 59 yards. And it trickled kind of, getting lower from there. They did do a good job in stopping the run. But when you look at the receiving, this is where it gets scary. And this is where everything looks bloody and gory right here. Where you have Amari Cooper with 6 receptions, 137 yards, longest 43. You have Michael Crabtree, 7 receptions, 87 yards, longest 25 yards.
Plus that 2-point
and 3
conversion.
receptions, 25, 2 receptions, 19. And it goes. It was the young quarterbacks. I think they kept picking at them. They knew they were young. They knew they were unsturdy, and so that's what they went at them on the offense. That's what the Raiders did.
They did. David Carr knew that's exactly what he was going to do. He's going to test P.J. Williams. P.J. played actually well. He did. P.J. played pretty well for him. He had 5 tackles, 3 of them solo. He had one pass that he batted away, but he played actually pretty decent from him. Crawley had 4 tackles, 4 solos, no pass defenses. Of course, he was the one that got scored on with that 2-point conversion that ultimately led to their demise. Devontae Harris, not too much, 3 tackles.
But you know what? You know what, Q?
Well, so.
It's my thing. Even if he had 4 tackles, I mean, it's good to tackle. Okay, I give you that. But if he had 4 tackles, majority of the time it means that he let the dude catch the ball. He had to tackle him.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, I can't really go on tackles because you allow interception. You know, so I need to see some bat balls. I need to see some, some deflected passes. That's what I need to see.
Right. Derek Carr definitely toasted those young cornerbacks, and it was baptism by fire for those young DBs, to be honest with you.
By fire.
Carr 24-38, 319 yards, averaging about 18.4 yards every time he threw the ball, 8 yards a throw. 1 touchdown, although they did hold him to that 1 touchdown. He was not sacked at all, and that's something I would like to also go into our next segment and talk about the defensive line. They were non-existent. They did stop the run for much of the game until Jalen Richard broke out with that 75-yard run and ran to the end zone and basically bust the game open. Where was the pass rush? Where was Paul Kruger? Where was Cam Jordan? Where was Nick Fairley, and Davison and the rest of the Saints defensive line? Where was Kasim Edebali? Where were those guys to get pressure on David Carr? They knocked him down 3 times, but did not get 1 sack the entire game on him. He basically sat back there unmolested and threw for over 300 yards on the Saints. Now, the secondary did well enough to kind of prevent just 1 touchdown through the air besides that 2-point conversion. So I can't toast the secondary. I can't really burn them for anything. I'm going to let them rest, being that David Carr did the work for me. But if you look at what they did, the defensive line did, they didn't do anything.
And you have a good point there. You have an awesome point there. If there was a pass rush, then we can probably get some turnovers.
Yes.
But there was no pass rush.
None.
Which it leaves the DBs having to work extra hard. And they did. They worked extra hard, which will explain the blood and gore of 6 receptions for 137 yards, 7 receptions, because it's so long you can defend. It's so long you can defend a receiver.
Right, and that's my take on it too, man. The way I feel about it is we had an opportunity to kind of break things open and be able to kind of solidify ourselves with that first win of the season. Of course, it's not a game that counts in terms of in our division, but it'd been a nice game to have in the dome. But the defense, I believe, really let us down. 22 points in the fourth quarter. I hate the term.
That's just ridiculous.
That's just ridiculous. The bend but don't break concept. I hate to hear that term. I will argue against anybody that brings that garbage, backwards, losing, craptastic thinking of bend but don't break. No, that's crap. That's crap. And the defensive line didn't come to play. The defensive line did well to hold the offense. It did well to hold the running game in place, but they did not get to the quarterback. They did not do enough to get David Carr on the ground. And Dennis Allen sent blitzes. He had exotic blitzes. I seen his blitzes. They just could not get to him. They had a couple of times where the Saints had the man and he had him and just couldn't bring him down. And I call that's what I call Cam Jordan, Captain Almost Got Him, because he gets there, and he just can't seem to get him on the ground.
Another thing I wanted to bring up, which it kind of baffled me. You have the Raiders up 24-10, right?
Right.
Your next objective is to use the clock to your advantage.
Right.
Why is Drew Brees still throwing the ball, and why does Mark Ingram only have 12 carries?
Right. Well,
if you're in the lead, if you're 24-10 lead, after the half, then we're going to run the ball and we're going to run the clock out. But no, that sounds too much like right. So we just going to continue to throw. Which, I mean, it gave you more points. Okay, I can dig it. But it's time to start working the clock. This is basic NFL 101. This is what you do.
They did. That's true. The running game didn't get enough involved. They really didn't get enough involved. I seen the numbers on Mark Ingram, very pedestrian, 12 carries, 58 yards. Although he averaged just under 5 yards a carry, he had a breakout run of about 17 yards. But as you know, when you got a guy like Mark Ingram, you got to at least give him the ball at least 18 or 20 times a game. And he'll give you at least 80-something yards and a touchdown. That didn't happen for whatever reason. And to be honest with you, the offensive line was a subject of a lot of debate and discussion and word from Saints to Saints Nation. They played really well. One sack, and that's because Drew Brees really blamed that on Drew. He held the ball longer than what he was supposed to hold it.
So he probably couldn't believe it himself.
Jari Evans came in and played.
A lot of time back then.
They had a lot of time. Now, of course, the early part of the game, the vending machine got beat by I think it was Bruce Irvin. He beat him around the side to sack Drew and force a fumble early in the game. But after that, they locked in. And Armstead played well. Zach Strief he played well after that. Jari Evans, it was like he never left. Then you had Andrews Pete at the left guard. He looked real good at the left guard. Looked like he finally found a position for him at left guard. He looked well. Max Unger, he's always stout. So, like I said, the offensive line locked in, and Breeze was pretty much comfortable in the pocket for the most part to be able to sling around over 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. So I got to give the offensive line thumbs up, even to the vending machine, the Godfather, for how he played today, and I mean how they played as a unit together. I just don't think that it was a very balanced. It wasn't very balanced, like you were saying, Swade. To your point, that I don't think it was as balanced as it could have been, based on what we were saying, because the Saints total yards they had 507 yards in that game. Oakland had 486, so they wasn't too far behind. Now, time of possession, Oakland beat the Saints by about a minute, 30-25 to 29-35. So about a minute, Oakland did hold the ball more than the Saints. New Orleans had the lone turnover. Oakland did not turn that ball over, despite the fact that they had all those penalties. And New Orleans barely beat Oakland on the first down battle, 27-25. But New Orleans did have that turnover, and that's the one when they sacked him and he fumbled the ball, and they recovered it early in the game. But like I said, looking at the total stats of the game, everything was pretty much balanced. But 500.
The Raiders and the Saints looked like they were the exact same team. Yeah. Even though we jumped out to an early start. I just don't understand. I know we are pass first, run second team. But after we are up by 14 points, man, hey, don't take your foot off their neck. I'm not saying don't do that. But it might as well look like what they should have done, because they let them come back anyway by constantly throwing the ball. But at least let's run this clock out, man, because it's not our running game is going to work. And like I've been telling people, Mark Ingram, Mr. Hulk, you keep feeding him, the better he gonna get. The better he gets, the more time he get hit, the stronger he get. And he's gonna break one big. You just have to keep feeding him. I also want to know what's going on with Spiller.
He was inactive.
If you got any word on it, Q.
Right. Well, C.J. Spiller, the word before the game, it happened right before the game started. They deactivated him. He wasn't active for the game. That's why Travaris Cadet, one of your favorites, he was able to pick up and get more of the C.J. Spiller plays. But for whatever reason, he was inactive in the game. But we'll cover a little bit of that more. As you know, inactive on the offensive side of the ball was C.J. Spiller. Daniel Ellerby, of course, we knew he wasn't going to play. But it's kind of amazing, man. We could have used C.J. Spiller's athleticism out there, but for whatever reason, he didn't play. But we'll talk about that more on the other side of the break. We'll talk about the injuries to Devin Breaux, tell you how long he's expected to be out. Josh Hill also suffered an injury. We'll break it down. We'll talk more about the cornerback play. We'll talk more about the special teams. We'll talk about everything. We'll give you a little bit more Sean Payton sound bites and interviews from the game on the other side of the break. You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys. Stay with us.
When winter is gone, so spring on over to We've Got It, your low-price, high-class leader. That's right, come in now and take advantage of our everyday bundle deals on any 3 bundles. 12 to 16 inches, $130. 18 to 22 inches, $155. And 24 to 30 inches, $185. We've Got It. 495 Voters Road in Slidell. 985-445-1400. That's 985-445-1400.
At The Posh Lifestyle, I go there for all my health needs. They offer great deals on organics, water filters, healing magnetics, healing crystals, clothing, books, DVDs, vitamins, and a lot more. They even have free shipping when you spend over $100 on most products. With secure online ordering, fast service, and great products, I save some money and I'm improving my health doing it. It's a win-win. So do what I did. Go to shop.theposhlifestyle.com. That's shop.theposhlifestyle.com. That's shop.theposhlifestyle.com. So upgrade your lifestyle with The Posh Lifestyle and love what you do.
Hey, I'm Paul, and I used to ask if you could hear me now with Verizon. Not anymore. I'm with Sprint now, because guess what? It's 2016 and every network is great. In fact, Sprint's reliability is now within 1% of Verizon. And Sprint saves you 50% on most Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile rates. So I switched to Sprint, and millions more have too. Can you hear that?
Don't let a 1% difference cost you twice as much. Switch to Sprint today.
What up, America? This Big Q from the Sports Coma, letting you know that you can follow us and the guys on Facebook, All Saints and Pelican fans, also on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, the Sports Coma. You can also download our podcast at podbean.com. So check us out for all the intense and entertainment talk on the Saints, the Pels, and a hell of a lot more. Only at the Sports Coma, you heard me?
Get ready, New Orleans. It's time for the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys, telling you everything you need to know about the Saints, Pelicans, and a whole lot more.
I ain't gonna say it no more.
Welcome back to the Sports Coma, Big Q and the guys. Going into our second segment, talking about the Saints. CJ Spiller was inactive for the game. Didn't get too much from why CJ was not activated for the game. Sean Payton, he gave a vague explanation on his decision to bench CJ Spiller. And just essentially the Saints preferred to just go with Cadet. So, you know, I guess when they release, well, we'll know by Wednesday when they release the injuries. We'll see what the problem is, why C.J. Spiller couldn't play, because
I know what the problem is. Let me tell you what the problem is. It's been this guy, man, and I don't understand what it is, and it's not personal, man, because I want everybody to work and make their money and support their family, but we're talking about sports here, all right? It's been this guy, man, his name is Tavares Cadet, and he keeps showing up on the doggone radar. Every time you put him in the garbage truck, somebody take him out, and it's like Fred Sanford. They take the junk out and they paint it up and they think it's brand new, but it's still junk. So, I mean, instead of going get you something new, you know what I'm saying, something that's worth having, you still come and take Tavares Cadet out the garbage truck. You know what he made him on there? What it was, a touchdown he made yesterday, or was it a 2-point? Whatever he made yesterday, I mean, that's something that he's supposed to do. So that doesn't shock me. It's like he didn't have a 100-something rushing yard game or something like that. No. Listen, man, this is the problem. Take Tavares Cadet, all right? Put him in a box, mail him to like Boslavia or something, and then leave him there, okay? Go and find you a rookie. Go and find you a rookie talent. Somebody may have some talent, way more talent than Tavares Cadet. Go get Tim Tebow to be fourth-string running back. All right? We can do that.
Well,
and that'll work.
As a running back, he wasn't very effective yesterday. He only got 1 carry for 1 yard. And
that's what he was.
But he was more effectively in the passing game for him. He caught 3 passes from the Saints yesterday. He was actually targeted 7 times. and he caught 3 of 7 for 14 yards, and he did have a score. So he averaged about 4.7, just south of 5 yards.
And the score, it wasn't like it was
average.
a 10, 20-yard score. Well, that was in like about 5 yards.
About 4.7, yeah, you might as well round it off
About
at 5.
4.7, yeah. You know, so I mean, dude, y'all had to come to the realization, man. I'm almost with 5 on this one. Now, C.J. Ross, that's kaboom and King Vitamin right there in the flesh. Right? Get rid of him. Let's go. Move on, man. Move on. That's all I'm saying.
Let's talk about some injuries. I know the loss was bad enough. We know Oakland, the Saints had 7 penalties for 53 yards. And that's not bad for Saints standards. But the Raiders had 14 penalties for 141 yards. And the Saints couldn't use that to get a win. But outside of that, Devin Breaux was the biggest casualty of the loss. The loss was bad enough to Oakland in the Dome, but it was also the loss of Devin Breaux, who was injured. He went out, then he came back in, then he went back out. And it was revealed that Devin has a broken fibula. He also had surgery on it today. And he hurried up and had that surgery, to see if he can get the healing process going so he can try to get back in the season. 6 to 8 weeks, they're saying 6 weeks flat. Usually it's 6 to 8 weeks, similar to what Sheldon Rankins would help happen to him. So that's 2 of their big stars, broken fibulas. That's a big loss for the Saints. Young cornerback core. It's a huge loss. P.J. Williams now actively is the number 1 cornerback. He steps up to Devin's position. Yeah, and now Devontae Harris is your number 2 with Crawley as your nickel. And I'm pretty sure they'll let Sterling Moore, who hadn't played a down as a Saints. They picked him up before at the end of the preseason, coming over from Tampa Bay, so he doesn't know anything about the playbook. And then, of course, I think the best thing they could do is probably bring Cortland Finnegan back, which we'll probably be hearing from that signing probably Tuesday sometimes, to get him in there because he played most of the preseason and he can come in and actually help that young core.
Right.
What you think about that, Sweet?
Well, I it's definitely going to be a huge loss without Devin Breaux there. So it's going to be more weight on the shoulders of our young DBs. And also with Sheldon Rankins gone, those are 2 of our superstars that are not there. And, and going back to Devin Breaux, he got hurt actually twice during that game. The first time, I guess, I'm not a doctor, so they know better, so they let him go back in. I'm feeling that the second injury with the broken fibula was also related to his first injury, and that they should have kept him on the side for a little bit more, and treated everything, make sure everything was 100. But with those 2 players gone, and you still have almost the total debacle in the fourth quarter, and it could have been worse. It could have been real worse. But with Devin Breaux gone now, and you have Crawley as your nickel, and you have Peanut Butter Jelly Williams as your number 1, and you have who was that number 2? Crawley, Harris.
PJ. Well, number 2 is going to be Devontae Harris.
Devontae Harris. You have Harris at your number 2.
Ken Crawley is the nickel.
We are going to have to depend, if it's not anytime next week, you're going to have to depend on that front defensive line, and they're going to have to get at Eli Manning, because if they let Eli Manning sit in that pocket and pick and get the ball to blonde hair Mohawk guy, what's his name? Yeah, him. Blonde hair Mohawk guy, and Victor Cruz on the other side, they're going to pick us apart, man. I promise you. So if we have to rely on our defensive line anytime, it'll be next week.
Ricky Jackson said earlier this week that they asked him about the defense. He didn't have, and his comments wasn't very flattering of the Saints defense. But one of the things Ricky Jackson said, and Ricky Jackson, man, if anybody know anything about defense and Saints defense, it's Ricky Jackson. And he wasn't particularly happy or pleased, and his comments showed that he wasn't enthused about the defense, saying that they have to get to the quarterback and they got to get sacks. and pressure and sacks help the cornerbacks out. You can't allow the cornerbacks. You can't not provide pressure to gunslingers like Eli or Carr or whomever to sit back there comfortably and unmolested and throw like they did against those young corners. You're leaving them not getting pressure on the quarterback exposes those young cornerbacks to getting burnt. So where was Cam Jordan? Where was Paul Kruger? Where was Kasimi Edebali? Where were these guys at to get pressure? Nobody did jack squat, and the onus is on that defensive line to step their butts up and get pressure on these quarterbacks. Because I assure you, if they would have had at least 3 or 4 sacks this game, Oakland would have not won this game. They would have not won this game. But other injuries to cover as far as Devin Breaux, like I said, broken fibula. He had surgery on it today. Looking good for him. They gave a 6-week recovery time for Devin Breaux. I say it'd be more like 6 to 8 weeks before we see Devin back. And it opens up a very interesting dilemma in terms of what do you do. Sheldon Rankins is already on the physically unable to perform list with that designation, injury list with the designation where the league allows you to bring one player back in the season from that list. Then I'm pretty sure that's going to be used on Sheldon Rankins. Now that Devin Breaux is inactive, they can't put Devin Breaux on the IR without possibly losing him for the season. So I anticipate the Saints probably will end up keeping him on the active roster, and we might see more of Sterling Moore. We might, and I'm confident that they'll bring back Cortland Finnegan. I really do think they'll bring back, a high percentage. I say maybe the chances are 90%. They bring Cortland Finnegan back, and we addressed that in previous shows and told you why. But probably by Tuesday, this upcoming Tuesday, we'll hear something about Cortland being back when his contract won't be necessarily guaranteed.
Wouldn't it be interesting if Sean Payton called up Keenan Lewis and talked to him like that old ex-girlfriend that left you alone back in the G, talking about head, big head. Hey, you do. Hey, man, how you doing?
I don't think Keenan can help him right now. Bro. I don't think Keenan can help him right now. I think Keenan is still rehabbing. I don't think he can help him right now. I would say probably the safer, better bet right now would be Cortland Finnegan.
Finnegan, yeah.
Right. So, I mean, if Keenan is healthy, that's a no-brainer, just like Jari. If it happened for Jari, it can happen for Keenan, but he's not healthy. He's still rehabbing. And maybe this is something they address down the line, but I don't believe the Saints will put Devin Breaux on the IR because if they do, they're going to lose him for the year.
They'll lose him for the year, and you definitely don't need that.
Right.
You need that man. You're definitely going to need him down the road.
Yes. Josh Hill was another guy Sheldon used backup tight end. Josh Hill that we've been very pretty much high on. I mean, we've been talking a lot about old Josh Hill. And one of the things we realized about Josh Hill.
They're talking high on. That must have been sarcasm. you gotta be joshing me.
Yes, I'm joshing you. But yes, he's a guy that he suffered a high ankle sprain in the game. There's no idea how long he's going to be out. But usually those things take a few weeks, maybe 3 to 4 weeks depending on how severe it is. But he has a high ankle sprain. He won't be available. But that will definitely open the door for Chris Manhertz, who was available, who was inactive for the game. He was inactive. He was ready to play, but a healthy scratch. He was inactive for the game. So with man down and now Josh Hill down, Chris Manhertz, and of course they got the backup tight end off the bench. I think is Garrett. Who's the guy on the practice squad, who's probably one guy they'll probably end up bringing in. But we'll see just how they handle that. Then they have limited spots. Somebody might end up getting cut, probably another defensive lineman, perhaps to make room for Cortland. Perhaps we'll see. There'll be a few moves here, by tomorrow and Tuesday and Wednesday to find out exactly what they're going to do.
Pieces around and see where everybody can fit. But with Josh Hill, man,
You listening to the PRO Media Network.
On nobody, man, and just to let everybody know, yo, this is what we do. We talk sports and we give our how we feel. We keep it 100 on here. Josh Hill, man, hey, you're you're decent, bro. You're not all that. You're decent. So if Josh Hill is on the inactive list, okay, so be it. That's the same equivalent of having the fifth string water boy on in the active list. I don't care. He doesn't serve a purpose anyway. I'd rather Manhurts on the field any day.
Right. Well, Chris Manhurst does give you that basketball background. He's one of those dudes, man.
Right.
That's real intriguing, man. And I know they'll have to activate him with Josh Hill, depending on how bad Josh Hill's situation is. That'll be interesting to see exactly what they do with him. So we'll find out. But let's listen to a little bit more about from Coach Sean Payton's comments from earlier about what's going on with this team
today. The one thing about it, and at the very end of the game, he's got the leg to give us a chance there, and that's the thing that's encouraging. And
True.
I can't really tell from the angle, but I know he just missed a little wide left. But he's got a bright future, and he'll be kicking here a long time. Well, anytime you lose a guy like Delvin, there's an element to it. Josh Hill, going out of the game.
Who cares?
With two tight ends, took away some of the packages we were hoping to be in. But I think it's what you get used to, and you're constantly paying attention to the matchups and then how it changes what you can do.
How encouraged were you by the play of the offensive line as the game progressed?
Look, we'll have a chance to see the tape. The one thing we said going in is we cannot let 52 become a force in this game. He's a very talented player. Obviously, Bruce Irvin, they've got some really good pass rushers, and so we spent a long time in the preparation for just handling the edge. The first sack fumble was, a play where we just kind of held onto the ball, and the protection was good. So after that, I thought we blocked him pretty well. And again, when we see the tape, we'll have a better idea of, how everyone did individually.
Yeah, preseason and training camp, we heard about how much progress the defense had made. But first 3 quarters, it looked like they made a lot of progress. Fourth quarter was a disaster. I mean, I know you need to look at film, but was it losing people? Was it scheme? Was it execution? Any impressions?
Well, yeah, just watching the game like you had, obviously that momentum shifted, and I think the long run hurt. There'll be a ton of things we'll see on film when we make the corrections. So, but I don't want to jump to a conclusion now. Just to answer your question as eloquently as you asked it. So, look, there's a point where you want to dig down, get off the field. We have a chance on that 4th down. We weren't able to, and now you're just kind of hanging in there, and we didn't make enough plays. I think the one thing we do know stat-wise is, we didn't have any sacks on the quarterbacks, and we weren't able to create a turnover, and it's one of the things that, I think if you're going to play good defense, you're going to have to be able to do at some point. But look, in a game like this, conventional wisdom would point to the defense, and I would say we didn't score enough offensively. That's how the game was being played today. And so we didn't do a good enough job. We have a chance at a kick return with the unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. That's a big penalty considering how much time's left in the game. They kick it deep and we get it to the 21, 22-yard line. There's an opportunity where I'm expecting us to be somewhere around the 30, 35 to begin the drive, and we weren't able to take advantage of that either. So there'll be a number of these things we look at, though, that we want to get corrected. Yeah, listen, we've worked together like that for a while, and he's got the headset to the QB. So yeah, absolutely, and we'll continue to do that. One more question.
One more question.
Well, listen, those guys stepped up. They got a lot of bump and run coverage. We got behind them on Brandon's score. We felt like we could. Willie made some really big plays inside Michael, and there were a number of guys that did, and yet we just didn't make enough in tonight's game, and that's the thing that's disappointing and frustrating. But we've got to quickly get some of the mistakes covered and get ready to go next week. Thank you.
Well, that's the thing that I realized and I learned from we dealing with Coach Payton is that he's he's a pretty honest dude. You can look at some of the game and see how the Saints were playing in terms of defensively. They held Oakland in check for 3 quarters. Then the dam broke. I don't know what the hell happened on it. I know when he had that rush, when that young running back had that 70-something odd rush, it broke it open, and you could feel the momentum shift as Oakland took life, because they were dead until he had that tremendous run, which Jairus Byrd tried to tackle the guy, end up missing him in the center. He broke it open. And not only did he gash him for 70-something yards, but he also converted and scored, and that really got Oakland going. So that's the thing that I'm asking. A lot of people were critical of the defense, and the defense is going to get a credit for a loss like this because of the way it happened. 22 points in the fourth quarter is not supposed to happen. It's not supposed to happen when you got the quarterback that played like he did, even though it wasn't balanced. They didn't need to be balanced. They did enough to win this game. And you might look at Will Lutz and say, okay, well, he was 2 for 4, 50% as a kicker. Both the misses were plus 50-yard kicks. If you'd have got better game management, like I said, in the fourth quarter, misusing of the timeouts, bad field position, penalties, then the defense is the top culprit. Not getting to the quarterback, not getting any turnovers, not getting any pressure on on Carr, which allow more pressure on your young DBs. So if there's zero pass rush, then the cornerbacks are going to get toasted out there, and that's the problem. They're not getting any pressure on the quarterback. So I ask you, Swade, we have about 5 minutes before we go into our next break. Give me your take on what you think that the Saints, what it will look like against the Giants. Can we get pressure? Why aren't we getting pressure? Why aren't we not getting pressure on the quarterback when we got Cam Jordan on one side? Paul Kruger is obviously an upgrade on the other side than what we had in a very long time. And Nick Fairley's push up the middle, Davison in there, Kasimi Dibale and the rest of those guys. Why didn't we get to the quarterback? Why are we not getting the pressure? Why are we not getting the sacks? What's going on in your opinion? Swade? We're having some difficulties, some technical difficulties. Swade, are you with us? Okay, we're having technical difficulties. We're gonna see if we're gonna see if we can get Swade in. Having a few technical difficulties. Please just hang in there with us. But that's my take. Dealing with what my case is dealing with is how and why are we not getting any pressure on the quarterback, and that's something that I really do think that we need to address, and we'll get Swade back on the line as soon as we can. But that's something that we seriously need to address. We definitely need to get pressure on the quarterback. And I've seen a few times Cam Jordan was involved where he was attempting to try to get that, but none of them could actually make it. Now, was that where you had a couple of injuries to the offensive line, and none of those guys, despite the injuries, the Saints still couldn't capitalize enough to be able to do anything about it. And that's something that's really kind of annoying because you're leaving your young DBs out to dry. So let's take a listen to Cam Jordan and see what his take is after the loss.
Differently, Cam, on that the 2-minute defense, the defense late in the game. I mean, what can be done differently there, do you think?
I mean, I know, of course, we all have our own opinions. We'll definitely be on the same page after today, after we break it down through the team. I'll be able to answer more in depth than just my personal opinion, so we'll just keep that for now.
What can you guys do to get the pass rush where you want it to be?
Again, it goes hand in hand from coverage to pass rush, and starting with pass rush, we just need more. Like I said, guys have to be on the same page when rushing the passer. A couple times, we pressured him, he just rolled out, and again, back to his credit, he's decent mobility, and got out the pocket, was able to get a couple yards, and that's just not what you need. We got to be able to contain.
Yeah, Kruger just got here. How long does it take to get on the same page?
I'd like to say by game 1, but going into this week was definitely going to be emphasis.
And the long touchdown run. Is there something specific you guys saw on that play that?
Again, I have to watch film. I have my own personal opinion on that, but we'll watch film as a group and have to break it down. When you're on the backside of a play, you're just watching it happen and chasing. It's you can always have your own opinion, but that's not what's good for the defense. What's good for the defense is understanding how do we fix this problem. And we'll go on. Like I said, we'll go on from there.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Can you win games with no turnovers and no sacks?
In my personal experience, we'd like to have turnovers and sacks. As far as win games, we have a stellar offense. Anything's possible.
In the 3-man front, do you like it, don't like it? Is it easier or more helpful?
When you have an offense that we do, you're able to be rest assured that we're going to have points on the board. So it's up to the defense to get pressure in any front.
That was Cam Jordan talking about what the hell happened in the game. Swade, are you with us, my friend?
I'm here.
Okay, we had a little technical difficulties. He's back. Got about 3 more minutes side break. What's your take on the fact that the Saints didn't get pressure, the needed pressure on the quarterback?
You know they didn't get any pressure, but I really can't pinpoint exactly why. You have the players there in play. Shout out to Davison, who can do an awesome job. Or could it be just that Carr is very good in the pocket, and he could maneuver and know how to avoid the rush or avoid the sacks. That could possibly be one of the things of why we didn't get any sacks. But they're going to have to learn how to play and how to play together, learn how to come with some cohesiveness, and know where exactly this quarterback. They need to watch tape and know exactly where quarterbacks move in order to avoid the sacks. And this is how you get better as a defensive unit up front. I know where he's going. You move this way, I'm moving this way. I'm going to lay back a little because I know he's going to try to flush up front, and that's what we can get him. So it's certain things they have to do to play as a team to get a unit and some cohesiveness going so they can get the quarterback even better.
I agree with you. I think a lot of it, the report asked a question about Paul Kruger. How long does it take for him to get acclimated? Remember, Paul Kruger was a guy they picked up from Cleveland a couple of weeks ago, and he did not. He even though he practiced recently, his deal didn't get finalized until right at the end of the preseason. Even though they acquired him a little before that, but he wasn't able to get on the field and
he has the potential. He can do it.
He could do it. He's a guy that's been known to be a pressure guy. I think this game was a kind of him settling in, getting comfortable. But I expect big things from Paul Kruger. No doubt about it, in the Saints uniform. We got him for the next 3 years or so. So we'll see just how well it goes. Anyway, we're about to go into our break. We'll come back with more skits from the Saints. We'll listen to what P.J. Williams got to say, what Vinny Vaccaro got to say, and also our young place kicker, Will Lutz, will chime in on what he thought about the game as well. Also, we'll continue to break down more Saints news. We'll talk about the cornerbacks. We'll continue to address the safety play, and we'll talk more special teams and see what we can figure out here in this loss. But stay with us. We also got some other stuff dealing with the Pelicans, LSU, Tulane, and more. Stay with us as we cover that. Listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys. We'll be back. Stay with us.
They say I'm too big. I'm too fast. I'm too tough. I'm too pretty. I'm not pretty enough. I win. I win too much. I have to stop. They say I'm too mean. I'm not what they want me to be. I still win. Anything else?
Yo, watch it. Let me hit you with the hook, yeah. Watch it.
They don't want us to do plans. So what we gonna do? Silk.
The Six, Raptors, Diamond, Key, New Ride, Old Ride, Bad Times, Good Times, Young Money, New Money, OVO, 29, 29, 29, Best I Ever Had, Worst Behavior, Old Crib, New Crib, October, Sound, Festival, Album Time Again or Acting Time Again, My Friend, My Friends, Younger Me, Older Me, Me as Manny, Me as Jimmy, Me as Drake.
I'm a Saints and Pelicans fan, so the only podcast I can get my fix is the Sports Coma with Big Q. The guy's intense, funny, and they always keep it real.
Check out the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on SoundCloud.
Welcome back to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys. We continue to talk about the Saints coming in off break. Just a little news to mention they're dealing with Tulane and LSU. Tulane were able to knock off Southern of Baton Rouge 66-21. 7 rushing touchdowns. Also, you know about the game as LSU. They beat Jacksonville State. Gamecocks 34-13. They benched Brandon Harris. Put in Danny Atlin, who threw 6 of 14 for 100 yards, a touchdown and a pick. Didn't seem too much, but he was able to ignite that team and ignite them to start moving because they had 3 drives that started the game off where they just stunk. I mean, completely stunk, bad enough where the people booed, and they had to pull Harris out of there to save his life, I guess. But looking at the rankings, the new release rankings, for the AP Top 25, and we'll get back into it. We'll let PJ Williams and Vinny Vaccaro make their comments on what happened Sunday afternoon. But the Top 25 countdown, Alabama, of course, they sitting at the top, followed by Florida State, Ohio State, Michigan, Clemson, Houston, Stanford, Washington, Wisconsin, Louisville round out the top 10. Texans at 11, 12th to Michigan State, 13th Iowa. Oklahoma is 14th ranked. Tennessee is 15, Georgia 16, Texas A&M is 17. Notre Dame is at 18, Ole Miss is 19. LSU climbed 1 spot, they're at number 20. Baylor's 21, 22 is Oregon, 23 is Florida, 24 is Arkansas, and 25 is the Hurricanes of Miami. So, you know, it's kind of interesting because I thought LSU, they won. They didn't have a convincing enough win, I guess, to the Associated Press to be able to move up at least 3 or 4 slots. They just move up 1 spot after dropping 16, which is a big drop. But going back into the Saints, before we go into PJ Williams' interview, what's your take on those scores there, Swede?
Well, with the LSU, let me say one thing about LSU, man. They played this past Saturday without Fournette. And my man Geis came in there, and Geis handled his business. Shout out to Geis.
Yes.
Malachi, which I found funny, he dropped a couple of passes.
Yes.
But he dropped the passes from the new guy that they put in because they had to take out Brandon Harris. He had to go. You know what I'm saying? He had to roll out. So as soon as this man come in, Edelby comes in, he starts dropping passes. He needs to get that on point. I don't want him no favoritism stuff going on this LSU team, and I hope that's not it. Okay, right. But they could have definitely blown that way more open than they did, and they should have. Even though they had to roll with no Fournette, and they had to throw a backup quarterback in there, you still should have blew it open because you are stronger, you are better, you are SEC, baby. Now I'm gonna tell you what surprised me yesterday, and this is from LSU, because I sat here and watched the game, and I sat here and watched number 9 Georgia win by 2 points over Nicholls State. Dude, Nicholls State is like it's the 3,000th worst college in Louisiana. How in the world the number 9 team in the country almost lose to Nicholls State? That's like I think Prairie View played. I can't remember who Prairie View played, but that's like LSU playing Southern. And LSU supposed to beat Southern 67, 77 at the 3. That's what the score's supposed to be like. Nicholls State is worse than Southern. And the number 9 Georgia is won by 2. It shouldn't be. Something is going on. And there were a lot of scores like that in the NCAA this past Saturday. Even Clemson had a close score. It was another one, Oklahoma State, if I'm not mistaken. So I think they lost to an unranked team. And you saw what happened to LSU last week.
Right. I think a lot of that. I think it's a lot of that. We talked about that in the 2-hour broadcast we did a few shows ago, where we talked exclusively about the closing of the field, where I was talking about that the SEC is no longer the dominant powerhouse conference that we've known. That a lot of athletes, the field is thinning out, and a lot of great players are going all over the country, and they're going to places where they can start. It used to be where it was all about the program and winning. Now players, they're producing so many great athletes across the country that they're going where they can play immediately. And I think that's helped thin in the field and helping some of these teams who are not seen as powerhouse teams compete with some of these other teams that are seen as powerhouse teams. They establish their program. The great miracle what Appalachian State did with Michigan. Stuff like that. The Cinderellas pop up every now and again, and they let us know that that the big boys can't fall. If you wear the target, you can't fall. And it was almost a real big case for Nicholls State. They almost pulled off the unthinkable by beating Georgia in that matchup. But we're gonna talk more about that.
Could you imagine Nicholls State ranked?
Yes. Wouldn't that be awesome?
You can imagine it?
Yes, I could. If they beat Georgia, I'm pretty sure they would have to have gotten a ranking. If you look at what Wisconsin had, what happened to Wisconsin. But we're going to cover that a little bit, and we're going to talk a little bit more about it. But before we get into it, let's see what P.J. Williams had to say about his day against the Raiders.
What do you do different going into next week against Eli and the Giants?
I think definitely just fix a lot of little things. We're going to look at the film today and see a lot of things that we did wrong. I know it's a lot of things that we can definitely learn from this game and definitely fix and just be better next week.
Was this more of a mental bust game as opposed to physical, or a little bit of both?
I'm not 100% sure. We're gonna look at the film, so we'll definitely see from then. But I think we definitely challenged those guys, but we definitely didn't finish. It was a lot of little things, a lot of technical things, and then at some point, we just didn't execute and didn't make tackles that we needed to and stuff like that. So we're definitely gonna learn from that and move on.
How much more difficult does it make it for you guys to not have Delvin out there? Obviously, you've gone some without him during the preseason, but getting in the game situation is obviously it's a little bit different.
Oh yeah, it's definitely tough. Losing a great player like that is always tough. It's definitely hard to replace a guy like that. So we're gonna see what we can do and definitely look to get that next man up and just look to get better.
I think a lot of talking about what young PJ Williams is talking about. He's the next man up. Devin Breaux goes down. He's now your new number one cornerback, PJ Williams. Welcome to the NFL, PJ Williams. You're now the Saints' number one cornerback. And Devontae Harris, welcome to the NFL for you too, young fella, and Crowley. Nothing, just straight rookies that are you. So if anything, the defensive line has got to help these guys out. That's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You know, that's the onus on it. They have to step their butts up, and they definitely got to do what they got to do to make it right. I mean, I'm sorry, I can't say it no better than that, man.
That's what's going to have to happen. And don't forget that Devin Breaux, he said that P.J. Williams was going to shock the world. He's going to shock the world.
Yeah, he did say he's going to pull a Muhammad Ali, that's for sure. He did say he was going to pull a Muhammad Ali. He did say that. I'm going to shock the world.
Hey, man, this is his time. Take out the sockets and plugs, but now's the time for you to shock everybody right here, Silk.
Yeah.
All right?
That's
his nickname. That's his nickname, Silk.
All right, well, let's look. We're going to listen to our last skit here. We're going to listen to Will Lutz and talk about and see how he had with his first contest.
Come on, Clutch. Lutz.
Okay, we're having a little technical difficulty.
As soon as I saw we had the opportunity, Coach looked at me and gave it to me right away. You know, the fact that he had that confidence in me is awesome. And
he got defeated.
Well, looked up and just kind of moved left at the last second, but gave it a chance and hit it next time.
So you thought it might have a chance?
I thought it was in off my foot. I thought it was good off my foot. So did Timo, and just sometimes it doesn't move your way. And, we'll hit it next time.
What's kind of going on?
He got a phone with his old lady.
Call the timeout, and you have to kind of, I guess, regroup. What do you think of that?
Nothing really. It's what I'm here to do, and walked over there, took a breath. Coach Payton told me to go out there, have some fun. I did. And like I said, it didn't go my way.
Coach did say some positive things in the locker room out there. He said that you have a strong leg, you're going to be here a long time.
A strong leg is good if the ball goes straight. Ball moved on me, and we'll get back to work. Do it again next week.
What was this experience like, though, for your first NFL game?
Hope we don't do that again.
It was awesome. Obviously, I would have liked it to go a little better. But, it's plenty of things to grow on and get back to work next week and continue to work on making the ball fly a little straighter.
Well, when the ball came off your foot, did you feel like that was going through the uprights?
Yeah, I thought it was in. Felt really well. The whole operation was so smooth. No pressure, and just moved a little left on me.
This team is.
You were comfortable when you kicked that?
Moving on pass kickers, have you started thinking about it all?
Not at all. It's just move on from it and make the next kick, and I'm here to make kicks, so see what happens.
Well, you're not doing that.
We'll just talk about this first game. You're prepared, I know, going into this job to kick the game winner. Your emotions when they went for two and leading up to that final kick.
As soon as I made, I got excited, man. It's what every kicker dreams about. And then to see it's from 61 yards, it's like, let's go. I got nothing to lose. Let's go out there, let's hit it smooth, and I did.
That was a nightmare for us.
Left on me, that's it.
Well, you got to give it to the young man, a rookie and a pressure cooker like that. Goes 2 for 4. Both kicks that he missed was one from 51, the other one from 61. Which I'm not gonna really put the blame or pressure on Will Lutz, or as Sway called him, Will Klutz. I'm not gonna put it be too bad on him, because he actually did pretty well based upon what he was supposed to do. I think I'll put the pressure more where it belongs with Sean Payton and his lackluster 9 pass rushing defense that attributed that. Management of the timeouts was another critical thing they could have used that have helped put the man in a better position. So it's a lot for him.
It's a lot of things.
It's a lot of things.
If you really look at it, it's a lot of things that could have come together that ultimately at the end stopped us from winning this game, man.
Right.
And you really can't really point the finger at everybody, and if they could have just worked together. Everything you can't have a perfect game, but you can damn near be close. And this was like far from a perfect game. All right, so I mean, maybe you kind of work on some things. You work on your balance of the team. You work on your timeout management. You work on your defensive rushing. You work on your special team, your kicker. You know, because you know what? I don't want to bash the kicker either. I might change him from Tim Clutch, and then he might go to Will Clutch. He might go to Will Clutch. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna let him slide this rip.
Will Clutch,
you know,
Will Clutch to Will Clutch, huh?
Real clutch. He might come real clutch, you know what I'm saying? He come through with the kick in the cup, but he got to earn that name. He got to earn it. So I'm going to let him slide this one thing, but overall what I'm saying is, man, there's a lot of things we can fix around that team because it's not a bad team. We had the lead. We had to win, but we have to put our foot on their throat. We have to do better with management, and we have to do better on both sides of the ball as far as running out the clock and putting pressure on the quarterbacks.
Okay, well said, Sway. Well said. We'll go on to back to our LSU news. We're gonna talk about what LSU did. Of course, we just covered the AP stats. Got the LSU Tigers moved up one spot to number 20th on the AP top 25 poll. They were able to dispatch Jacksonville State 34-13. Next opponent won't be as easy as a pushover for LSU. Matter of fact, the next 4 opponents are going to be pretty tight. We go in conference next with Mississippi State. That'll be this will be this Saturday at 6:00. And it's going to be interesting. They're going to be at home against Mississippi State. That's going to be an interesting game to see if they can actually be able to get something done. A test besides the Wisconsin matchup, of course, but getting State in here, and followed by Auburn. They got to go to Auburn, then Mizzou, and then Florida, which is going to be a tough game. That's going to be out in games. Yes, sir.
With Fournette, is Fournette expected to play this game?
I've read that Fournette is going to play this game. It's a probable chance that he will play this game, and I don't know if he would have made much of a difference. He probably definitely would have made much of a difference against. He wouldn't have made much of a difference in the win. I think Geis did a great job against Jacksonville State, but that would have been a good game where you can sit him down if he have an injury and get him ready for the big boys because they got 4.
100%.
They got 4 games coming.
What I noticed with this game as well, it wasn't a one-sided game like all balls get past to Malachi, all runs go through Fournette. You actually got to see different receivers and a different running back, man. And it almost brought a whole new life to the team as soon as they brought the new quarterback in. I saw a whole different LSU team. I don't know if you saw it or not,
yes,
but they looked totally different. They moved different. The energy was different.
They had rhythm, no doubt about it. They had rhythm. They looked confident with a quarterback at him. Brandon Harris was a guy that was lacking. You could see that he was lacking a lot of confidence. His throws didn't have any confidence in it. He just, for whatever reason, he didn't have any energy to move that LSU offense. And when Etlin came in there, they just ignited behind him. And I think it'll be interesting because it'll be. My question was, and I asked this question on a prior show with DC, was with the switching of the quarterbacks, being that Harris was your quarterback going into the season, now that they're moving to Danny Etlin, the backup, what does that diminish LSU chances of a title hope? What's your take? That's Wade.
Hold on. Because they changed the quarterbacks,
yes,
would it diminish their chances
yes,
of winning a title?
Yes.
No, not at all. Okay. Not at all. I mean, you can see everybody. I mean, no one's blind. You can see whether a quarterback or any position change is better or is it a hindrance to the team. And as far as what I've seen, and I'm pretty sure what majority of the people that are alive and walking above the ground seen, that this guy brought a whole new light to this team. And be it that you are now ranked 21?
Yes. Number 20.
They're ranked 21.
Number 20.
You have a couple of big time games coming. You know, whether you can get it more together, you can knock these teams out and move above the rankings and get to a championship. So, no, I don't feel that this messes up their chances of being in a championship. I think it actually helps them to become more eligible to be championship contenders.
Okay. Well, you know, that was my take. DC felt the same way as you did. He believed that it did not, that it would not hurt their chances, being that Brandon Harris was your quarterback over the last 2 seasons. With him moving out and you putting a guy in where Brandon Harris took most of the snaps during early on before the season started, and now you pull Harris out after 2 games, and you put Atlin in there. And you place him because he has Mississippi State will be a good game, a good matchup for him. But they got the next 4 games are all conference games that LSU's going to be matched up against some serious talent. I mean, coming out of there, they got Mississippi State this Saturday, followed by Auburn at Auburn. Then they got Mizzou on the first of the month, first of the month. Then Florida is the following Saturday after that, and they rank right now 23rd, which always a tough matchup when you go down to Gainesville to play those guys. So, you and DC agree. Y'all don't agree. I mean, y'all agree saying that it won't affect. I think it will affect them to some degree because, you know, you have to be able to beat some. You got Ole Miss that they're going to be playing, then followed by Alabama. So they got some real tough games, and I don't know if this guy will be able to handle some of those stiff games that Brandon Harris was prepped for. I imagine. So we'll just see how it works because that's just my take. Jumping ship. Go ahead, Sweet. You got another comment you want to make on that?
Oh, speaking of jumping ship, Brandon Harris needs to take a full dive off the ship. You're talking about these games that he was prepped for, but like I said, he probably wasn't going to win them anyway. Dude, this guy Brandon Harris, you know what? He reminds me so much of like an Aaron Brooks. The way this dude start off, he didn't even have an arm like Aaron Brooks, and he start off swinging and probably winning a couple games, and then once you would get film on him, he's like trash. He belongs in the truck with Cadet. So Brandon Harris, and I'm gonna start. You know what I'm gonna start? I'm gonna start a BFI team. You know what I'm saying? And right now I have Brandon Harris at quarterback, and I have Travaris Cadet in the backfield. And we're going to continue the rest of the season. And by the end of the season, I'm going to have a full BFI team waiting for you.
Well, I got a wide receiver for you for the BFI team.
I know we're going to wide receiver. What are you?
Brandon Coleman.
Start that receiver. Brandon Coleman. He ain't going to catch nothing.
He was a good cheerleader. He was a good cheerleader. He's the biggest cheerleader I've ever seen.
One by one each week.
But that's fun, Sweet. I'm gonna be looking forward to it. So you'll have a BFI guy for us by next week.
By next week, I have another BFI player on the team. You know, it may be on defense, it may be on offense, but right now, you know, you see who my 3 starters are. My 3 starters.
And what are they again?
At wide receiver, you have Brandon Coleman. At quarterback, you have Brandon Harris. And at halfback, we have Travaris Cadet.
All right, let's go to our next segment. Talking about the Tulane Green Wave. Of course, they beat Southern by 7 touchdowns. Wow. I mean, I don't know what to even say about something like that. They just kept running on them. They won 66-21. The next opponent is Navy. They got Navy coming in. Although Navy's predicted to beat them in this game, Navy's averaging about 40 points a game. They only are giving up 20 points a game.
And all the military teams worldly, man.
Right. But they allowed 400 yards a game, 409 yards a game. They allowed 280-something yards. Yeah, they allowed 283 yards through the air, 126 yards on the ground. So a lot of people picking the Navy to win this game. I think it'll be closer than what they think. There are a lot of people sleeping on Tulane. They don't know who that coach is. That coach is a pretty good guy. I think that they actually got a ball coach that actually start building that team.
So hold on, bro. Hold on, bro.
I think they can actually.
You're not going off of that Southern game, right?
No. What we're going off is the fact that I'm looking at that. This is a tailor-made matchup for Tulane. They're gonna be playing at home. And the midshipmen coming in, they are not a good defensive team. They're allowing over 400 yards a game.
I feel you.
So ain't no doubt about it. It's more than just a few holes. They got a real leaky defense. And if anything, Tulane can run the ball. So I'm anticipating Tulane to definitely get a win against the Navy midshipmen over there at Ullman Stadium. I'm going to just go out on the call there because the weaknesses that the Navy midshipmen have, it fits right with Tulane's strengths. Tulane is averaging, they averaging 291 yards a game rushing the ball while passing 73. So we understand where and then they only giving up 14 points a game in the last 2 contests they played. So
they played Southern.
Yeah, no, Tulane. Tulane, they did play another team. They did lose to I forgot who they lost to. 7-3. There was a defensive battle that they lost to Wake Forest. That's who it was. They lost to Wake Forest 7-3, but the defense stood up and played well. They only averaged defense only giving up to who they playing 14 points a game. The offense is passing 34 points a game, but they're averaging 291 yards rushing a game between Wake Forest and them.
I got you, Q. I'm with you. But this is what I'm saying.
Who do you like in that game?
You played 2 games.
Right.
You played 2 games, right?
Okay.
One of these games, you had a defensive battle. Cool. The other one of these games, it was a total blowout, like 50-something to 7. You know what I'm saying? So if you take those 2 games and then you average it out, you're gonna score 200 points.
Right, but you can.
A game.
But my point is, you can only play. You only can be judged based on who you're playing. You know, and as the season runs on, you'll get a better take. So we can only go game by game. But the Navy midshipmen, they are a terrible defensive team. They allow teams to rush 126 yards. That's almost double what we're damn near averaging, almost 300 yards running the ball. So where the midshipmen are weak at is Tulane's strength. So that's what I'm saying. Plus their coach is a pretty decent coach. So who do you like in that game, Tulane or Navy?
Who I like between Tulane and Navy? Dude, you know what? You know I'm a big fan of none of them. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead.
You gonna flip a coin?
I'm gonna go ahead and say Navy, man.
Oh wow,
I have to keep it 100 and say Navy.
Wow.
Like I said, all these military teams, man, they're undefeated. They're on the road. So I'm just going on with Navy. You know, I'm not used to
Swade picks Navy, everybody. So we're gonna make sure. Tulane, I know y'all listening. We're gonna make sure we show Swade up and show that, and we're gonna show Swade up. Okay, so
Green Wave.
Green Wave. Okay, let's switch gears. We're gonna talk about the Pelicans for the last few minutes. We got about 2 or 3 minutes left before the broadcast ends. The Pelicans, of course, they made one last move. Swade, they picked up Lance Stevenson. That's right, Lance Stevenson, former Pacer Lance Stevenson. And he's a guy that the team. Yeah, Lance Stevenson, the guy that was blowing kisses in LeBron's ear. That guy.
Got him off his game. Yeah,
right. We got him now, and Lance Stevenson is a guy known to play defense, to handle the ball. He's also a guy that that they brought in because Drew Holiday's situation with his wife. Of course, you know that Drew wife has cancer, so I anticipate them bringing Drew and Lance Stevenson in place of him. What's your thoughts on Lance Stevenson and the Pelicans' addition of Lance Stevenson to this organization?
Well, I mean, I'm looking at a lot of acquisitions that the Pelicans are making this offseason, and they're pretty good. You know, I'm saying some durable players. I know you in D.C. like them. Lance Stevenson is also a good addition. I guess he's your he's the person that getting the head, the opponent's head, like a Dennis Rodman, I guess. So it's pretty good. It'll work out. Plus, he's good on the court. Like I was saying earlier, though, and not to cut off the subject, but I'm just, this is just me, and people might hate me for saying this, but I know Drew Holiday down bad. Yeah, when you down bad for that, Drew. Straight up, you need to come get on this court, you heard me? Handle your business. It's not like you was rolling these past couple of years like you was the truth. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, let me do this. No, you owe us this. You owe us to start off the season all strong. And I understand family come first, but if we get rid of you, then you can't feed your family. So we need you to get right here on this basketball court and come give us what we deserve. And that's a couple of wins to start off the season, dude.
All right.
That's all I'm saying with that.
Well, I appreciate this take, Sway. That's at the end of our show. We appreciate all the fans for listening to us. Please feel free to share our broadcast. Please check with us later on. We'll make sure we have the picks for NFL. We'll cover a little bit more. Appreciate y'all for joining us on the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys. Stay tuned and keep listening.
Big Q and the Super Predator.
Let me tell you about a news site that carries the news that you would want to know. News that's not the same as the rest of lamestream media, but a site that lets you know about the most important news on health, economics, tech, entertainment, science, food, sports, world news, positive living, paradigm shift, and a lot more. Go to theposhreportonline.co. That's right, theposhreportonline.co. Learn more. And remember, challenge everything.
There's no one road out there. No one surface. No one speed. No one way of driving on each and every road. But there is one car that can conquer them all. The Mercedes-Benz C-Class. 5 driving modes let you customize the steering, shift points, and suspension to fit the mood you're in and the road you're on. The 2016 C-Class, starting at $38,950.
The Bud Light Party believes in change. That's why Bud Light has a new look, and we want to share it with everyone. From our national parks to our furthest shores, jackpot, to your living room. Look under your seats! Still the same refreshing Bud Light with a new look.